Palpatine was said to be one of the strongest Sith of all time, if not the strongest. But unlike many other predominant Sith Lords, very few people knew Palpatine's hidden identity, if any, without his knowledge. And in a previous video, I covered who the Jedi thought the Sith Lord was, so for today's video, I'll be discussing everybody who knew Palpatine was a Sith Lord. Let's start with the obvious ones, such as Vader, Maul, and Count Dooku. It's pretty much obvious that Darth Maul and Dooku would be aware of Palpatine's true identity, as Maul helped Sidious with his secret missions, and Dooku when he was offered the chance to recreate the galaxy for the better and with the Clone Wars. And as we know, Vader, or then Anakin, found out about Palpatine's true identity when Palpatine revealed to him that he knew how to save Padme, and when he saw Mace fighting Palpatine in the office. Speaking of Mace Windu, he also was another person that knew of Palpatine's true identity, even if it was just for a few moments. We can also gather that the three Jedi who accompanied Mace, who were Kit Fisto, Agen Kolar, and Saesee Tiin, also knew about Palpatine being a Sith Lord as he slaughtered them. Yoda and Obi-Wan also found out about Palpatine's alter ego after Order 66, when they saw the recordings of Anakin pledging his allegiance to Palpatine, and when Yoda fought Sidious in the Senate. Luke Skywalker also found out about Palpatine being Darth Sidious within the movies 5 to 6. Moving away from the completely obvious, we have Mas Almeida and Sly Moore. Mas Almeida found out about Palpatine being a Sith Lord when Mas tried to remove the corruption from the Senate behind Palpatine's back, but Palpatine would be fully aware of this and would reveal to Mas Almeida that he was a Sith Lord, when he realized that Mas could be a helpful pawn in his grand plan. And for Sly Moore, she found this out after they spent many years together building trust. Palpatine would tell her this and she would fully pledge herself to him. Next, there's State Prestige and the Imperial Ruling Council. State found this out when Plagueis and Palpatine were forced to use the Force on a group of assassins who tried to kill them. After this, he would be allowed to live and would continue to serve as Palpatine's right-hand man, and was even viewed as his best friend. And while we don't know much about the Imperial Ruling Council, we do know that they were fully aware of Palpatine's true identity and his powers. Some of Palpatine's other friends who were known as the Royal Advisors also knew that Palpatine was a Sith Lord. It's also safe to assume that Mother Talzin knew that Palpatine was a Sith Lord due to him receiving Maul from her, and them eventually fighting to the death on Dathomir in the comic book Son of Dathomir. We also know that Ahsoka Tano and the Ghost Crew knew of Palpatine being a Sith Lord after a mission on Lothal, but I highly doubt they knew the true extent of his power beside Ahsoka. Palpatine's Red Guards also knew that he was a Sith Lord, and in fact, two of them even fought alongside him against a group of Ryloth freedom fighters. But even though they knew he was a Sith Lord, they had very little knowledge of his true power, and were often taken aback when Palpatine used his Force abilities. Dr. Hemlock also knew of Palpatine being Force sensitive, but it's unclear if he knew the full extent. We can also assume that the high scientists working on Project Necromancer also had some idea of what Palpatine was. It's also possible that Asajj Ventress knew that Palpatine was a Sith Lord due to her being Count Dooku's apprentice. There also was a former rebel spy named Inab Ray who found out Palpatine was a Sith Lord after barely managing to escape Palpatine. He would later go on to research the Force and discover that Palpatine was indeed a Sith Lord. It would actually tell a high-ranking official about his discoveries, but shortly after that would kill him. But he would later be captured by the rebel lines, and while we don't know for sure if he told anyone else, it is highly unlikely that he did. Grand Admiral Thrawn was also one of the people who knew that Palpatine was a Sith Lord. In fact, he was so trusted by Palpatine and Vader that he was part of their discussions about their Force visions. We do know that he also knew that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker, but Thrawn would not tell anyone about this due to his extreme loyalty to the Empire and the Emperor. There also was a Sith cultist called Yubi Tashu who was a dark side scholar who found out that Palpatine was a Sith Lord. Grand Moff Tarkin also had his suspicions about Palpatine being a Sith Lord, but he was wise enough to keep them to himself. There was also a possibility that Starkiller, Bail Organa, and Mon Mothma knew that Palpatine was a Sith Lord, and that is a list of everyone who knew Palpatine was a Sith Lord. While Palpatine's identity being Darth Sidious was very secret, we now know that there were actually many people who did know about it. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and comment your favorite Sith Lord. Also, let me know if I missed anyone, and with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.